Today I am celebrating John Mark Allegro, a man who was an Aramaic specialist, a specialist of languages from the area of the Dead Sea, that was assigned to be the chief collator when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. The Catholic Church were very concerned about the potential impact of this discovery, and they split up the Dead Sea Scrolls into many different sections and asked different groups of interpreters to work on them, and they would then hand this work back to John Mark Allegro to collate this information and bring it into some kind of whole. So he was a massively admired linguist who I believe he emanated from Oxbridge. I think it may have been Cambridge, where he had studied and specialised in the way that he had done. And you could only imagine what his character may have been like to have been appointed as for such a key position. And unfortunately, when he began to look at all of these different sections, his conclusion was that Jesus was actually a code word for a mushroom, a sacrament, a psychedelic sacrament that was taken by a Christian cult who used this psychedelic sacrament to have visions and to build community and access forces and strengths that made them, over the course of time, a real threat to the Roman Empire. Now, because of what they were doing, they had to remain this secret psychedelic cult, so they needed code words for their sacrament. And it's funny because when I first heard of this story, which is recounted in his famous book, The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, it's an idea that just sounds so crazy and outrageous that it seems very difficult to begin to accept, certainly for many Christians. And yet for me there was something that immediately made sense about it, because there are so many stories in the Christian texts that are just baffling. You know, people walking on water, virgin births, feeding of the 5,000, and suddenly, I always was able to look at these stories in the context of being metaphors and being, parables, but then to suddenly begin to think of them as psychedelic visions, something that maybe someone had experienced or seen that also happened to be a parable that was then shared in this kind of codified way, made a lot of sense to me. And I think I'm still wrestling with what to make of it. Now, one of the reasons that I'm choosing to celebrate him is because he is another one of these characters whose willingness to speak the truth as he saw it cost him dearly. It cost him his reputation. His book was banned. He was kicked out of the positions that he had previously held, and yet he didn't relinquish. He didn't go back on what he saw as right, as what he believed to be true. And in the threat of such destruction of your public reputation, I know that many weaker people would crumble. I don't know if I would have the strength to maintain my vision if I knew that it was going to cost me so much. And I suppose that's why I really want to celebrate John Mark Allegro, not just for his talents as a linguist, but it's really admiring his conviction, the courage of his convictions, just to maintain and express what it was that really seemed right to him. So today I'm celebrating John Marco Allegro.